Good morning and welcome to Options Tender. It is Thursday, May 16th, 2024. Welcome everybody. We are seeing the market in buy the dip mode once again. I think we'll see this kind of play out as another grind to the upside. And if price does decide to retrace, we'll be looking at the 8 EMA for the time being. And then eventually, I think the 20 simple moving average will come into play. Not too different from this entire move here. So that's what we'll be kind of looking into at this point. I'm not going to do a full analysis on SPY. I'm going to talk you through wave 5 just for a second, because that kind of has something to do with Bitcoin. We're going to go through a Bitcoin analysis on the daily time frame only, and then we're going to do a top-down analysis and a trade setup on Square. And Square is somewhat of a proxy of Bitcoin as well. So as Bitcoin starts to break out and get bullish, I think Square is going to follow within. So if you want a full analysis on SPY, yesterday's video did such. And so anyway, if you're new here, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that Options Center logo and subscribe. I love to do education, trade education. So yes, I do take some time on these videos. I try to talk my way through what I'm looking at and why I'm looking at things. So hang in tight there. Sometimes it gets a little slow and it might even be boring, but it's to learn, because it's not boring when you catch a really good trade after putting some time into some analysis. So hopefully Square will do that for us. And we already, I'll check up on Tesla as well. Tesla seems to be kind of tightening up, had a little retracement this morning. I did mention that. And then I think what it's doing right now is building a little bit of market structure. So on the 65 minute, we'll check out Tesla at the end. Hopefully I won't forget that. All right, so if we do face a doji here, we're right at that 382 extension at the 530. If we face a little doji here, I think that we'll be looking for some sort of pause or small retracement into tomorrow and possibly Monday to kind of digest what's happening here. But I'll go through that in more detail when and if something starts to happen besides a grind to the upside. Okay, now let's just talk about, just for a second, I'm going to put on this board, this traditional technical analysis. You see these levels up top. I think we get there. It's a matter of how we get there, right? And I mentioned yesterday, now that the 8 EMA is coming onto this former all-time high, I think this is a really, really good point of reference. We hold this all-time high, and I think we can be as bullish as can be. And what I like to do when I change my scenario, my mind frame, my trading mind frame, I don't really play, unless there's a real setup, I don't play the indices as much. I look for individual names to pop. And so that's why I'm doing these videos. I did Tesla yesterday, and I'll be doing Square today. That's because they move. They move while you'll see, especially towards the end of these moves with SPY. If you were in this move, great, good for you. You did fabulous, and but this is going to eventually just start to grind and like this choppiness up here, and that's not very lucrative unless you're scalping. So what happens is as consolidation happens and you get some breaks in the indices, all of these names continue to pop up and down, and they're kind of moving back and forth. They're not in sync with the market, so the market gets choppy, but these individual names really start to play out. Okay, and then we're gonna have some fun tomorrow, so make sure you hit up tomorrow's video as well. We're gonna look for an entrance into GME. So GameStop, good old GameStop meme. Hey, you might as well join the party if people are jumping in and out. Already had a huge move, and we're gonna look for this pullback to see if we can find ourselves a entry point into the next spike up. Okay, so we have SPY, and all I want to talk about is this being a fifth wave now, not an expanded B flat and then going lower. I'm talking about, my mind frame is that we're going to fill out this wedge, okay, and look for prices that are above, and those targets I did yesterday, so you can check those out. But so in this wave 5, this can be just a direct move to the upside, a slow grind, or what you always have to look out for in a fifth wave is an ending diagonal. So after this wave plays out, if you start to get some sharp moves down, but the trend line holds, it very well could be a 1, get it, a wave 2. Now I know that's scary, right? I said underneath the all-time highs, but you get a 2 pullback, start working our way back up, holding that grind, wave 3, and then it crosses over wave 1, a nice sharp pullback. That's what they like to do. The market's getting weak, and then it just slow grinds back up for that fifth wave, and that could take us to these targets, up here around the 550 or even higher if it needs to. So that's what I mean by filling out this wedge. So this could be pretty sloppy, but again, I think we're in buy the dip mode. Bad signals if we get under the all-time highs, but not totally bearish until we get underneath what appears to be the 513, the 50, 20-day moving average, and this trend line. That would be the nail in the coffin. Now we're talking a different game plan. Okay, that's all I want to talk about. No. I think this is my ending diagonal board, and I have a time reference here at 528. I'm thinking, we could have just a grind sideways to up until getting to that time zone. Okay, that could be a couple days before, after, but around this zone. So I don't think we get anything real until then. And so we'll be looking out for a possible test of maybe the 20 simple moving average at that point. I think the 8 will keep us going this way, and possibly all the way up here. That's possible. But we'll see with the time frame and start to get a retracement as this 20 starts lifting. Again, very similar to this move here. And then that could be that start of that ending diagonal 1, wave 2, blah, blah, blah. All right. So that's what we're looking for. We will probably see a spike in the VIX and things like that, but I don't think that's going to be our move at this point. All right. And then the next time frames after that go into June and all the way into July. And now I think that's kind of the time frame we're looking for. I said it, you could look at back at here, but I think, the 560 could play out all the way into July, possibly even, what's this? Is that August? That's the end of the July there. So possibly end of July going into August as well. So I know that's a lot of time there. But we just have to, I'll keep you updated. All right, I got to move on. Now that we're getting into this grind to the upside, now I have all of these stocks that I follow to kind of grind through. And I wanted to catch BA. I didn't even look at that one today. I think this is going to be a really good one for us too. So I'll look for another setup in Boeing. It's kind of been beat up. So let's go to BTC. Give our quick analysis here. I hate these futures contracts. If you're with Thinkorswim, go to the settings, futures, and extended hours trading session. No, that's not. Show contract change. Yeah, that's what we want to take off there. That makes a nice and clean chart. Okay, on BTC, we're looking at an Elliott wave, possible 1, 2. Or an A, B, doesn't matter. Now we're looking for a 1, 2, 3, and I think we're pulling back for wave 4, very similar to the market at hand, and we're starting to build market structure and head up to wave 5. All right. So with this, trend is our friend. We had the former channel. We held on to the top of that channel after we broke out, back tested the channel in blue that I'm highlighting right now. And we're looking at this as a bull flag. Now, the last time we did the analysis on Bitcoin, we talked about this channel breaking down from it, forming a triangle, and it actually had one more move down. We were talking about, hey, this could come back up and retrace, and that's it. And we're right at that point right now where you can move down from here, or we start to break out from the flag. So it's a critical point. I drew a channel to the top of this move. Really, it's a zone, because if you draw the former tops, that's where price is pausing right now. You see that? So we kind of have this zone here, and that's the top of the flag. So maybe we get another little pullback where it's building market structure, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and then it starts to break out. That could happen, or it could fill out the flag a little bit more, and you do have the trend line underneath for it to hold again. I just say that I'm not going to get really bullish on it until it starts to break through this flag. And since it's so close and back testing this, the channel, I could actually move down to this wick here, and that would put it right on the top here. So it's back testing the channel, the blue channel right now. It's so close to that channel, I don't expect it to just go right through it. I expect some sort of action to happen a little bit more sideways before it starts to break out. So yes, this could pull back a little bit more. This could be filling out a flag. Okay, it could be an A, B, and some sort of, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down, or it could just be setting up a 1, 2, 1, 2. So lots of things that could happen. But I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. On the different time frames, we're starting to get a bullish cross on the daily. So it's super important, for this time, for weeks to months, that could play out. And just so you guys, I talked into the trading room with an individual, and they said, what kind of computer and stuff should I get? And I talked about it, and I just trade off a laptop. I hook up to, I only have one screen right now. I'm redoing my office, but I do prefer 3 screens total. And I'm going to show you real quick how my screen's set up. I'm going to pull down. I like to have, when I go through my individual analysis, this is on my top screen. So I have the daily, the weekly, and the monthly all at one time with my MACD and RSI setup, so I can view this really quick. I see a crossover on the daily. Yes, we're in bullish territory, making higher highs, higher lows on the weekly. So this isn't, we're getting that crossover. So it's a warning sign, but I think that crosses back up. And then we'll be looking for divergences here eventually, because the ultimate plan is to go up further. Look how bullish this is on the MACD on Bitcoin. So that's how I'm looking at things right now. And then my other screen towards the middle, I like to keep the Elliott wave analysis on. So I know it's not fitting the screen right now. There you go. Okay, so I'd like to keep the Elliott wave analysis. So my regular screen will have the 65-minute, then I have the daily, weekly, and then monthly. And then on the second screen above, I'll have the 65-minute of Elliott wave, and it has different, it has the Elliott oscillator, and also it helps me kind of pattern things out with this indicator, the zigzag high-low indicator, if you have Thinkorswim as well. So it just gives me a real quick reference of some of these moves. All right, so that's a quick look at what I have there. And now let me go back to okay, so that's what we talked about Bitcoin. That's all I need to do. Now let's go Square. Square, we're going to go top down. This is going to be super, super good information. Okay, so here's our monthly time frame. Maximum from when it started. We had a nice huge move here. It looks like a nice 5-wave impulse move. We got our correction. This could be an impulsive wave down, or it could just be a correction. It doesn't, in our trading terms, it doesn't matter at this point. What happened was we had the sideways consolidation. It worked perfectly with the former consolidation here. We had a triangle that actually broke down, wicked through, and came right back up on the monthly time frame. And notice our bow and arrow support resistance that I always talk about, and that just happens to be a lot of volume in there, so there's a lot of trading. That's where our point of control is that I marked, and that happens to be, it's not right in the dead center of this, but this is the volume node that we have here. And the same thing happened, we broke down from this huge volume consolidation and then whipped right back into it. So I suspect that's going to be a reversal in that we go higher, very similar to this same move. And just give you a point of view of the profile. See how nice and thick it is, and it can go all the way up the profile to 76, the node to 58, but the dead center is right there at 63. So you see that's a big range that we have here in the monthly time frame. So that's where I get that from. All right, so as soon as price makes a new high here, if and when it does around 85, that will be in my opinion, a massive move to the upside. And we could just be back testing this trend line, or we could build some structure from here to go much higher. We'll see what happens there. This also, if this is an impulse wave where you're getting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this could just be the beginning of a zigzag. So where you have an A, we're retracing for B, and get some sort of C down lower before heading much higher into a brand new bull market. And that would fit out different scenario as the years go by. That would fit our scenario of the market getting a nice big recessional correction that might last for a couple years or so, coming up fairly soon, and reference the time fairly soon. So right now, if you look a little bit deeper, we're having trouble. We're in this zone. We're in this chop zone. But notice we're starting to really hold on to, after making a high, we're holding on to this 20 simple moving average, but we're having trouble with this 8. So we're getting squeezed right now. And then we're going to have to deal with the 100. All right. So these are things we're going to deal with, but right now we're squeezing it. I suspect this next move will go quickly up to this 83 zone. So keep this in mind. Then we'll be looking for targets up to 125. All the way up to the 160s or so as time goes by. So let's keep 160 in mind as we go. So 125, let's keep that in our mind. 124, just rounding. 125 and 160, let's keep those in mind as we go to different time frames. Now, on the options center setup, we had our bullish crossover. We're still in the bearish territory, so that's giving us a little bit of trouble. The slow Stokes turning over. That's kind of holding price back a little bit. But if you notice on the other time frames, we're starting to firm up. So that's why I think this move is coming. So this would be a good swing candidate. I'm not sure that this move is going to happen this week, but again, as Bitcoin starts to firm up and breaks out of that flag, I think this will be following fairly soon, or maybe even lead it. So let's go to the weekly board. This is sort of a consolidation for a triangle. We had an A, B, C, D, E triangle for a wave 4. In my opinion, I think that this was a 3, 4, 5, and I think we might get that zigzag that I was talking about. So this was a triangle that broke down, and now you can call it a fake break. It came right back into the zone, and we're looking at holding this 100 MA and this 50 MA right now. So again, those are starting to form together. They're going sideways. So we might even have some more sideways action. But if we get on top of this 20 simple and this 8 on the weekly, we can start to jam up to the upside. So this is looking really good. This might be initial move is an A, or it could be an A, B, C, and then we get further. But if this is the A and we had our B, this looks like a 5-wave impulse. And if we're at the 786, we pulled back, holding firm, we can go higher. Also, looking at the indicator, we're getting that nice bullish crossover in the weekly. So a little bit, lower time frame, we're looking a little bit more bullish, and we're holding over that bullish area. And we're backtesting the 0 line, which is very typical. We're in a neutral zone, and then I suspect over time we'll curl up from here. Okay, on the daily, trend is our friend. All right, that's our huge consolidation zone going sideways. You see the MAs are moving sideways. We're kind of firming up over the point of control. We're over that 200-day moving average. And we're starting to get over the 8 EMA. So again, correcting here and starting to firm up at this point, and holding that 8 EMA. We have some work to do to get up here. But if we can hold on to this low, I think this would be a good spot if you do want to put on a trade from here at this 69. About this low here, that might be a good point. If it starts to break down and retest lower, a little bit lower, that's fine too. We'll look for another entry, but I'm not in this yet. We might have to make some changes at this point. But if this is the initial move and then we already had our correction, this would be an impulse up. We get our pullback here just about to that 200-day moving average, and that's also the 786 of this move. So that's a good spot to hold. Anything under the 786, I don't think this is a 1-2 setup here. All right, I think that would, if we start to break down from there, I think that this was kind of a 3-wave move up for A here instead of here. And that our correction just wasn't finished yet. We'll probably correct deeper. So if you see Bitcoin filling out that flag a little bit lower, maybe Square comes back a little bit more. But it's a good objective long trade from here. At the 786 you get below, and I think we're talking just a little bit lower, and then we'll be looking for another entry. Now, if this does hold, we'll be looking for this initial move down here would be our impulse move. So we'd have a 1, 2, and our projections would typically be for a wave 3 at 162. That would be typical for the 107. But this has been going sideways and building up, coiling for such a long time that I think that the double that at the 262 extension would be more appropriate. And that's also just a shallow 40% pullback from this all-time high. So I think this would be a pretty wicked move all the way up to here. And that would be kind of our guideline. After you get to this point, things are going to be a little bit more choppy, but our good swing play would be into this 132 area. That's past the 125 I was talking about, but ultimately, here you go, the 50% retracement. That's the 165. That would be that uptrend line that I was talking about. And over time, it may be after correcting, and maybe the 192 ultimately, or even higher, but that would be our last point. We don't really trade up above the 62% retracement. Things get different. They get difficult at those points. More stressful. All right. Let's see. Let's go to 65 and just see if we can kind of see what's happening here. Okay, now again, this could be our initial move. And if this is the initial move, we just had a retracement and we have an impulse, and now we're correcting and we're starting to get above this channel. And we're holding on to that channel right now. We get back underneath this channel, then I think that we're kind of wrong on this situation, but we're looking for a move to start to happen above this channel from here. And from the Elliott wave terms, we did have the 786 down here. The initial move off of it would be a 1, break down to 2, nice sharp 2, and then a 1, 2. This could be a 1, 2. It doesn't matter how you do that. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and forming a 1, 2. So we're really, another way to look at it with a blank screen is we're triangulating. So this is pattern kind of identification. And as you trade more often, these are the things that you want to see and that you'll recognize faster. And so if you recognize that this is coiling up, now you can see if it breaks above this point, you know, you could get a wick and break back down from moving averages. But, you know, ultimately, if you break above the triangle or break below the triangle, you kind of know what's happening. So you break below this triangle, and I think we're going to go a little bit lower. You know, we'll talk about that later. But if we break above, then I think this whole scenario that we're talking about is starting to come into play. That's ultimately, if we break lower, then we just have to wait and be patient till things work out a little bit different, because you're going to have to draw it a different way and reanalyze things. Okay, so that's what we do. And you see how the moving averages are getting real tight here and starting to go sideways. That's a good point of action where you know that there's going to be a move. All right, it happens a little bit during the move, during a trend comes together, but now they're all coming together. It's really, I think this is a reversal. I really think it's going to start moving to the upside. Now, I just want to visit Tesla real quick, and then that's going to be the end of this video. It's been a long one. Oh, no, it's been 26 minutes, just about usual. So we had our low capitulation move, and just a spring right back out of this downtrend line. And now all we're doing is back testing. So I really highlighted this wedge that we're forming here. And I talked about yesterday, this possibly could have been the low, but it did look like a bear flag right on this options expected move. And we spiked down this morning, came right back. We're still holding on to our trades into next week. And look at these moving averages, boy. They're getting real tied into there. And Tesla's holding on to some of those higher frame moving averages. And I think this thing's going to start moving as soon as tomorrow. You know, it really is firming up today, but I think tomorrow might be our day. So this is kind of coiling up. And we're looking for the next move above. And I think our next test after we get above 180, I think we slow down at 185, but really, this is a 1-2 setup. And then after that, we're looking at a 1-2. This is a 1-2-1-2 setup. This should be a pretty relentless move to the upside that should last possibly a couple weeks. So we'll revisit that as it goes, okay? That's all I got for you. Don't forget to like the video. Thanks for all the support. Hope this helps out. Have a wonderful day.